Hi, in this video, we will talk about HashSet in Java collection. So what is HashSet? So if you see the collection tree, you see that in the top you have collection interface, under that we have set, under that we have HashSet. So we are talking about this HashSet. So HashSet is a class which implements set interface. Okay, HashSet is a class which implements set interface. So we already saw that comes under set interface. The underlying data structure for HashSet is Hashtable. Duplicate elements are not allowed. So in our previous video, we already discussed about set interface. So set will not allow duplicate values. So HashSet will not allow duplicate elements. If try to add duplicate elements, will not get any compile time or runtime errors. So it will not allow duplicate elements. But if you try to add any duplicate element, so you will not get any error or exception. Okay. So, but it will not get added to the HashSet. That's it. So we will see with the example. Add method simply returns false. So if you try to add, then if you try to print, it will return false. But more than that, it will not give you any exceptions or errors. Okay. So insertion order is not preserved. So this is also one of the important points when you talk about set. Insertion order is not preserved. The way you inserted, it will not be in the same order in the HashSet. Elements will be inserted on the basis of hash values. So in the same order it will not store, but what order it will store, it will be based on their hash values. Heterogeneous objects are allowed. So we can add different type of elements to the HashSet. We can add Boolean, we can add integer, we can add string, all this combination, you can add it to the HashSet. Null insertion is possible. So we can add null value also. HashSet is best suitable for search operation as elements stored on the basis of hash values. So because of this feature, the search operation is efficient on HashSet. If you try to do your frequent operation is search, then preferred set is HashSet. Okay. So preferred collection is HashSet. So what are all the constructors available for HashSet? So HashSet is called new HashSet. Okay. So this is the first constructor. So when you talk about the points, so it will create an empty HashSet object with default initial capacity 16 and default fill ratio 0.75. Okay. So what it means? So the moment when you create HashSet, so it will create HashSet. The default capacity is 16. 1, 2, 3, something like that. 16. Okay. But when it will create a new HashSet, right? So the moment it fills 75% means 0.75 means 75% is filled. Then it will create another HashSet. Okay. But in the list, once it completes fully 100%, then if you try to insert a new value, then it will create new list. But in the HashSet, it arrives at the 75%. It fills 70% of the elements. Then it will create the new HashSet. Okay. So if HashSet reaches 75%, the new HashSet object creates with default fill ratio. Right. So again, it will create another HashSet, and there also the default fill ratio is 75%. Okay. This is one constructor. The another one is HashSet int initial capacity. HashSet is called new HashSet int initial capacity. Means, so by default, it will be what? It is 16. Right. By default, if you did not mention this value, it is 16. But you know that you are going to store 100 values. You are going to store 200 values. otherwise 1000 values, right? If you know, prior information, if you have prior information that how many values you are going to store, then you can directly use HashSet h is equals to new HashSet of 1000. Okay, so this is how you can create an HashSet. This is another constructor, right? So it is an efficient way if we know the capacity, right? So it means normally it will, if it fills 75%, then it will create another one. Then 75%, it will create another one. So it's a tedious job, right? Performance will be decreased. So if you know how many elements you are going to store, then use this constructor. Then it is an efficient way to create the HashSet. Even though for this also, like if you put 1000, then if it reaches 75%, it will create another one. That is common. Okay. So another constructor right here, initial capacity and fill ratio, right? Default initial capacity is 16 and fill ratio is 75%. So you can override these two things. Okay. It will create an empty HashSet object with specified initial capacity, might be some 1000, but I want to create a new HashSet not after filling the 75%, 95%. Okay, once it fills 95%, then you create the new HashSet, otherwise 98%. So it's your own fill ratio. You can decide that. Okay. So another constructor is very common, like you will pass the collection object to this HashSet. Okay. So it creates an equivalent HashSet object for the specified collection object. This constructor will be helpful for interconversion between collection objects. If you mention list here, so equivalent HashSet will be created. Okay. So that's how it will work. These are all the constructors available in the HashSet. So now we'll try to write an example and see how it works, how we can create and how it works. We will see with the help of an example. So let me go to Visual Studio Code. So I created HashSet demo. So we'll use some methods and see what operations we can perform. So HashSet HS is equals to new HashSet. To work with HashSet, I need to import java.util.start, right? So after creating HashSet, I want to add elements, right? hs.add of java, hs.add of character A. So we are adding heterogeneous objects, one string, one character, one integer, 10. hs.add of true, hs.add of null. Okay, so we added different values. System.out.println hs. So here we need to remember one thing: insertion order is not preserved, right? So we'll try to execute this and see how it will be. Java HashSet demo.java. You see that the order we inserted Java A 10 true null, but here null A Java 10 true. So it's a different order. So insertion order is not preserved. On the basis of hash values, it will store. It will insert the values. Okay, this is we need to remember. So another one important point. This is one of the important points. Another one: add duplicate values. It will not allow. Right? It will not allow. So I try to add hs.add of 10 again. Okay. So let me try to execute. You see that only 110. The 10 which I added duplicate values, it will not allow. And we already discussed, if you try to add duplicate elements, nothing will happen, no errors, nothing. It will just not allow. It will not just add that. So it will not add that. Okay. So, but how you will make sure that it added or not? Means how it behaved internally. Okay. So what I'll do, I will put hs.add of 10. Okay. So it's simply written false. So if it added, it will return true. If it did not add, it will return false. So we'll try to execute. You see that false. And if you try to print again, the same thing. So if you try to add duplicate values, nothing will happen. Okay. So it will return false. This is also we need to remember. So I want to add multiple elements. So I'll take array list. AL is equals to new array list. And I'll try to add some values to this. AL.add of ABC. AL.add of PQR. Okay. So now what I need to do, I need to add hs.add all of AL. Okay. If I try to print this one, right, it will add those two elements, but the order will not be preserved. You see that PQR first, ABC in the middle, right? PQR in the second value. So if it is a list, it will be added at the end of this list, but it is set, so it will not be the same order which we inserted. Okay, that we need to remember. So if you try to print the size, so hs.size, you see that 7 values. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right, we have printed the size. Okay, now we'll remove hs.remove. I'll remove the null value and I'll try to print again. So this time it should not show the null value in the set. You see that it started from the PQR. So null removed. Right. So now, access the elements or objects one by one. So we can use iterator itr is equals to hs.iterator. So while iterator has next value, you just print that value. Iter dot next means iterator object dot reference dot next. Okay, so we'll try to execute this. You see that one by one PQR, A, Java, ABC, 10, 2. Right. So this is how we can print a one by one value using iterator. This is one of the cursors we already discussed, right? So this is the same thing. Okay, this is how you can use a HashSet. The important point you need to remember is insertion order is not preserved. Duplicate values will not allowed. Okay, and if you try to insert the duplicate values, nothing will happen. No harm to your program. So it will just return the false, but no exception, no errors will occur. Okay. So what could be the possible interview questions from here? So what is HashSet in Java? What are the different constructors available in HashSet? Right, we have seen 4 different constructors. Okay, so that's all in this video. Thank you.